Penguin Truth here. Time for another fly, fresh, legit anime from that Brill decade that gave us headbangers and hoods, big hair, acid-wash jeans, and 2 gnarbo Republican presidencies. The last title to cover from that neon decade is 1989's Venus Wars. It's very pretty. Let's first talk a little bit about Venus Wars' creator, the legendary Yoshikazu Yasuhiko. Yasuhiko is a man of many hats. Animator, manga artist, director, character designer. He's probably best known for his work in Mobile Suit Gundam. Most recently, he directed the Gundam The Origin OVA based on his manga. Honestly, I feel like the Origin manga, which retells the first Gundam TV series, improves quite a bit on the original. It would be great to have a full TV series, and not just the OVA for the flashback section. The original Venus Wars manga, on which this movie is rather loosely based on, began in 1987 and had 4 volumes. It was brought over to North America by Dark Horse and split into individual issues. If you ever run into the manga, it's a solid read regardless of Dark Horse's flipping of the picture to make American comic standards. I hope it gets re-released unflipped at some point. The movie was licensed by Discotek, but it's technically out of print. The movie takes place on a human terraformed Venus, which has been split into 2 quarreling nations, Aprhodia and Ishtar. A reporter named Susan Summers arrives from Earth to cover the rising tensions between the countries and gets caught up in the action when Ishtar invades the Aphrodian capital, Io. But she's not the only one who gets swept into things. Most of the main characters are from a team from a rough sport involving weird motored unicycles. The team, the Killer Commandos, a group of troublesome youths, decide to take the fight to the Ishtar invaders, with predictably disastrous results, and end up drafted into the Aphrodian military. Action and tragedy ensue. Our central protagonist is Hiro, your typical moody, stubborn teenager. He's the irritable, angry type, rarely smiling, always a little on edge. Apparently, his family owned a farm on Venus, but it was more difficult to work the land than anticipated, and they rarely ever turned a profit.
Our crops wilted when exposed to the sun, but froze during the month of darkness. We'd start over every year, but it was hopeless, and soon we saw we were only there to stop Ishtar from claiming the space, while the government was telling us that Venus would be covered in grass by the end of the next decade and our work would be rewarded. But it was a lie!
It seems like the only bright points in his life are the thrills he gets doing the battle bike sport, and his girlfriend Maggie, whose father isn't fond of him. He's initially reticent in participating in missions when taken in by the military, only finally committing after losing a race with Lieutenant Kurtz of the Bloodhound Squadron. The two have a tense relationship throughout. The only other notable members of the Killer Commandos are Will, who seems to be an older and more laid-back guy, and a little bit of a player with the ladies, and Miranda, who is hard-nosed and bold. And it's her idea to take on the tank in the old sports arena. She's sort of like their de facto leader. It's too bad neither of them get much development, and most of the commandos disappear before the final act. The aforementioned Susan is pretty prominent throughout the movie, however, and boy is she irritating. I get that she's supposed to be this really confident and daring reporter, always looking to push things to see if she can get a better story, but oftentimes it makes her come off as incredibly insensitive and pushy. I don't hate her, but I can easily see where somebody might, because she's obviously meant to be a really key character, but they do little to endear her to the audience. At least she's a better reporter than she is an assassin.
Quiet!
General! Ah! The safety catch, my dear. Not very efficient for a terrorist.
You know, it's strange some of the ways the movie is different from the manga. For one thing, the bikes. In the manga, the battle bike sport features pretty regular, if not a little souped-up motorcycles. None of these odd-looking, impractical unicycle things that I guess were designed to look more unique. Likewise, the military bikes, which in the manga have even more wheels than normal bikes, not fewer. I guess everything was redesigned for the sake of the movie, but it's obviously rule of cool aesthetics. Other differences include that the main character of the manga, at least in the first part, basically joins the military willingly out of boredom and lack of direction in life. Miranda and Maggie have bigger roles. The guy who takes Will's role isn't part of the Commandos. There's no Susan. The Earth military is involved with the fight between Aprhodia and Ishtar, and Lieutenant Kurtz is more prominent too. Apparently the movie adapts only the broad strokes of the manga.
In the ravine, I could have finished you off any time I wanted, while I had a bulletproof shield behind my head. Which you didn't know, of course.
No, I didn't.
I suspect even if you had, you would have still been determined to pull me down a peg. We'll use that to fight the enemy tanks. Imagine they're me, and kill them.
The question is, would a straight adaptation of the manga have made a better movie than what we got? Well, I don't know. I think a straight adaptation of the manga wouldn't have been able to fill the time allotted to this movie. And the time it would have taken to do a straight adaptation of the manga, in terms of running time, would have also fleshed out what we got here, which is a decent movie that struggles with the space it's told in. You see, the movie is weird in the sense that there's both not enough time to really flesh out the characters, but there's also quite a bit of padding to it. For instance, the chase scene where Hiro runs from the police. Completely overdone. The race between Hiro and Kurt seems a little unnecessary in the long run, but at the same time, we could have gotten a little more of Hiro's war deeds before the final battle, which comes on a little too suddenly. It almost seems like there are really two movies here, or it would have been better suited as an OVA series. If there's one thing that can't be denied, it's that Venus Wars has some gorgeous production values. Yasuhiko's bold, distinctive character designs, for instance. The wonderfully drawn, beautifully constructed animation. The ornate environments and backgrounds. The memorable musical score by Miyazaki collaborator Joe Hisaishi. What we have is a movie that looks and sounds incredible, with some excellent action scenes and a compelling premise. That it doesn't live up to its potential is disappointing, sure, but let's face it, it's Yasuhiko's curse at this point. I'm reminded of Yasuhiko's Crusher Joe movie. Like that movie, Venus Wars has a fun, pulpy feel to it, with a decent basic plot and entertaining action. But also like the Crusher Joe movie, it's rather shallow, and in this case, rather unfocused on top of that. It feels like if Yasuhiko had more collaborators to help concentrate his energies, this may have come out a fuller, more robust film. As it is, though, it's an interesting, if a bit of a lacking footnote in his celebrated career. Yasuhiko himself isn't fond of it, but I have a soft spot for it.
So, a bunch of punk bikers beat us to it, huh?
Whoa, this is another short one, wasn't it, my most triumphant homeboys and bimbettes? I kid you not, I most definitely look forward to 80s month this year, and I totally look forward to doing it again. So whether you're a Betty or a Clydesdale, a dweeb or a Richie, you can count on me to bring you fresh and fantabulous anime offerings from that decadent decade again. Next month is Dragon Ball month, so I'm not entirely out of the 80s yet. We'll be having a mystical adventure. Until then, I've got a Rubik's Cube to solve by moving the stickers. Fucking A, man. See ya!
Hey kid, you feeling bored? Wait till we get to Io. Got somebody there waiting? You're a good-looking guy. We could always fill in an hour or two till we get there.
Piss off, you damn queen!
Slow down. I know how you feel, but it's better to know what you are and come out.
Out of where?
Oh, don't kid me. I mean, why are you being so defensive? It wasn't till I came out that I felt liberated.